Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the press, all members of SPLM, SPLA-IO, the members of the public. I'm going to deliver a State of Nation address. The State of Nation address on the occasion of New Year 2026 and prevailing political situation in the Republic of South Sudan. On the occasion of the advent of 2026, I take this opportunity to address the nation, members and supporters, the general public in South Sudan and diaspora, IGAD countries and guarantors, African Union, the African Union panel on South Sudan, C5 countries, United Nations, the members of international community, and the press. Against the odds of suffering caused by the ongoing military offensive by the SSPDF and bombardments, we wish you Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. We would like to register that the year 2025 has been concluded without peace, security, and stability for our people. We would like to register further our utmost disappointments over the violations of the RRCs 2018 by President Salva Kiir Mayardit and continued military offensive. President Salva Kiir Mayardit has again violated RRCs, an agreement that was signed to resolve and address the root causes of the conflict and usher in a federal system of government. We are saddened to state that South Sudan continues to be trapped in vicious cycle of conflict, condition of failed state, high debt burden, endemic corruption, tribal and ethnic bigotry, nepotism, and failed international relations, systematic violations and collapse of the RRCs. His Excellency, President Salva Kiir Mayardit, has committed systematic violations of the agreement, including but not limited to the following. On 3rd March 2025, he arrested and detained Lieutenant General Gabriel Dwoplam, the SSPDF Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, the co-chair of Joint Defense Board of Security Arrangements of the RRCs, along with 6 bodyguards. On the 5th of March 2025, he arrested and detained Honorable Port Kangchol, the Minister of Petroleum and the Deputy Chairman of the Artigono High-Level Committee on Implementation of the RRCs and the Deputy Head of Government Delegation to Tumaini Initiative, along with 10 others. On 11th of March 2025, he arrested and detained Honorable Garwiglam Poch, Member of Parliament and the SPLA-IO representative to Arjamek. The President, on March 23rd, 2025, arrested and detained Dr. Isaiah Cole, the Deputy Governor of Lake State. As if those were not enough, on 26 March 2025, President Salva Kiir arrested Dr. Riek Machar Durgon, the first Vice President of the Republic and the Chairman and Commander-in-Chief of the SPLM SPLA-IO. Dozens of his office staff protocol officers, close protections, and office directors were also arrested. We maintain that the arrest and detention of His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar Teng and other political detainees is a political witch hunt and a destruction of the other assets. The actions of President Salva Kiir and his accomplices has generally led to arrests and detention under very harsh conditions of more than 102 members of SPLM SPLA-IO. Their cruel detention, inhumane detention, led to many detainees developing chronic sicknesses such as hepatitis, tuberculosis, blood pressure, and sugar, while some has succumbed to treatable illnesses and died in detention. Some of the detainees are released with very poor health condition. Many are still being kept under detention and open arrest in Juba. President Salva Kiir has also ordered SSPDF to attack forces who were undergoing transitional security arrangements and unification of forces exercise in the cantonment and training centers of Rirangu, Uniliet, Moni, Nyara, Rajab, Rambu, Achwa, Torguan, Irube, Panyume, Lowereng, leading to breakdown of permanent ceasefire. The SSPDF, supported by mercenary forces and allied militias of Abu Shok, Agwelek, Matianganyor, Gelwin, have been attacking civilian population in predominantly SPLM SPLA-IO strongholds and control areas. In Nasir, in Ulam, Panjak, Akobo, Mayo, Blue River, Magui, Kajokeji, Morbo, Tumbura, Najero, Maridi, Mundri, Chwebet, Bour, Niror, Uror, Ayot, Pigi counties. We have also experienced targeted attacks and harassment on individuals and communities perceived as members and supporters of SPLM, SPLA-IO in Malakal, Reng, Melut, Galachel, Magui, Budi, Taurit, Yambio, Tumbura, Najero, Juriva, Wau, Warap, Awil, and Rumbek. The members of SPLM, SPLA-IO have been targeted, arrested, detained, and killed. Dozens have left cities, towns, payams, and villages due to crackdown and forced disappearances. Closure and occupation of offices of SPLM, SPLA-IO in the National Secretariat in Juba and State Secretariat offices in Warab, Lakes, Western Equatoria, Eastern Equatoria, Upper Nile, Jongole, Northern Barakazal, Central Equatoria. This is aimed at denying political and civic space in the country. President Salva Kiir dismissed, suspended SPLM, SPLA-IO members from the Artigun, including, but not limited to, His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar Teng. The first Vice President has been arrested, detained, and suspended from his office and now dragged to illegal court. National ministers, including ministers for health, electricity and dams, petroleum, water resources, deputy ministers for finance, interior. His Excellency James Udok Okuch, Governor of Upper Nile State, also has been dismissed and replaced. From SOA, the Governor of Jongole State, His Excellency Majub Biel Turuk, also has been dismissed and replaced. His Excellency Lieutenant General Alfred Futuyo Karaba, Governor for Western Equatoria, also has been dismissed. President Kiir refused to reconstitute independent institutions in contravention of RRC's Article 1.18.9. The President also refused to implement responsibility sharing in the 3 administrative areas of Abyei, Ruweng, and Greater Pibor in contravention of Article 1.16 and Transitional Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan, Amendment number 7. The President equally has dismissed county commissioners who were appointed by SPLM, SPLA-IO for Twitch, Kajukeji, Panjak, Akobo, Kafoita, East, Longmichok, Nasir, Ulam from SOA, etc. The political objective of the regime and why the RRCs had to go. President Salva Kiir and his cohorts are determined to create and maintain a system that guarantee and perpetuate their political, social, and economic dominance in South Sudan. The state of South Sudan has been captured politically, economically, and socially by a clique of ethnocentric elite that have since taken the presidency captive. The conflict in South Sudan is a struggle between the progressive forces and rudimentary conservative forces of our time. Those who want to perpetuate the status quo are fighting and resisting those who want to change the harsh socio-economic living conditions through reforms embedded in the RRCs. The disdain for RRCs is because the agreement threatens to review the status quo and usher a dispensation of justice, equality, rule of law, where power and wealth of the country shall be equitably managed and distributed. Control of state institutions and coercive force, restructuring the state through new constitution and federalism, and implementing sweeping reforms pose a big threat to the ruling elite in the Republic of South Sudan. The ruling elite that emerged before and after independence has succeeded to amass wealth through manipulating political appointments, stealing public resources, and indulging in corrupt practices and plunder. Since inception of the government of South Sudan, these bourgeois has been using political power and public offices to create more and more illegal wealth. Bribery for appointments into political offices, awards of illegal contracts, and soliciting kickbacks, mismanagement of sales of oil and non-oil revenues, illegal loans and borrowings have been the source of illegal wealth and the needs to protect this wealth. This state of affairs has persisted and worsened over the past 15 years and consequently created a situation of scramble for resources and power, skewed income distribution and destitution among the civil population. The ruling class in the society emerge, influencing and controlling government policies and decisions. The privileged few, barely constituting less than 1% of the population, is able to control the rest of the population of the country through birth, origin, association, and connections. They have acquired illicit wealth and power. Moreover, they have done this at the expense of state and nation building, development, and majority of the masses. The government has failed for many months to pay salaries and wages for the civil servants. The ruling class, who were able to acquire wealth, must protect them through violence and resisting legal and institutional reforms. This same group has managed to earn regional and international connections and backing to ensure a stalemate in South Sudan political process, ensuring capital flights and economic rents. Consequently, the elite, through illicit businesses, theft and corruption, has squandered USD 50 billion since 2006. Most of these monies are in the pockets and bank accounts of political and military elite through fake multinational companies. The wealth of South Sudan is being tracked by international community, the UN system, Sentry reports, Enough Project, Transparency International. As these resources leave the country and are being kept in illicit individual assets, fake businesses, and bank accounts in and outside the country. South Sudan, once a rich country in natural resources and rare earth minerals, has been turned into a family empire of making filthy wealth and power, a theater of poverty, hunger, and starvation, looting with impunity, abrogating peace agreements, perpetual wars, and a failed state. This is the Republic of South Sudan, which we have earned through blood and iron. The gap created by IGAD and international community, the regime of President Salva Kiir Mayardit, has been thriving in the absence of a strong international community and partners. The building of institutions and legal framework in South Sudan have been severely undermined as the country was left in the hands of spoilers and crooked politicians and generals. Moreover, some of the spoilers carry dual citizenships of international partner states. Leaders of South Sudan bear equitable share of responsibilities for the destructions of the country. President Salva Kiir has been the pen holder before and after independence. He has been responsible for every decision that took place in the Republic of South Sudan. Balanced blames on the parties to the conflict have made President Salva Kiir intransigent, lacking political will, and immune from criminal responsibility. The collapse of peace processes in 2016 and 2025, and subsequent arrest and detention of first Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar in South Africa, 2016 to 2018 and 2025. Arrests, detention, and illegal trials have greatly eroded the roles and credibility of international community, partners, and IGAD countries. After convincing SPLM, SPLA-IO, and His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar to go to Juba to implement peace agreement, yet unable to protect the agreement from spoilers, it has become increasingly difficult to take the promises and advice of IGAD, international community, and partners seriously. As President Salva Kiir Mayardit is convinced that impunity is a reward for recklessness and might is right, opposition must prepare now, therefore, to defend themselves at all times, or they shall perish. The partners and international community take the blames for creating enabling environment for dictatorship, impunity, and persistent collapse of peace processes in South Sudan, the blatant violations of international humanitarian law, commission of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide, as well as armed embargo, has been the glaring failure of the international community and partners to enforce rules, standards, and accountability in South Sudan. Some partners have been very honest to admit failure in South Sudan conflict. SPLM, SPLA-IO has been victimized for choosing peace process over conflict and wars in South Sudan. Logically, in the absence of regional and international mechanism, it is imperative that any future efforts to bring peace and stability in South Sudan shall require that opposition must prepare to defend itself and civilian population as the only effective approach of deterring violence, destructions, and loss of lives. We cannot rely on good faith, peace process, and the courtesy of others to protect us and our population. IGAD have abdicated the roles of a peacemaker and guarantor. They have become complicit and synonymous with the conflict in South Sudan and the region. President Salva Kiir has been frustrating every prospect for peace and stability in South Sudan, and every time he gets away with it. Some IGAD countries have taken active roles as parties to the conflict. This has complicated the already dire political situation in the country. International community, partners, and IGAD, in order to stop further bloodshed, must change their strategy on South Sudan. They must take actions that effectively bring peace and stability than paying heavily for humanitarian and relief operations in the country. If the international community and partners do not change its strategy on South Sudan, the conflict shall degenerate into disintegration of the country and regional instability. We would like to nevertheless appreciate the partners for roles they have played in South Sudan since independence. The efforts of IGAD countries, the African Union, European Union, United Nations, Troika, USA, UK, and Norway, IGAD Partners Forum, and the C5 countries, and humanitarian agencies, as well as non-governmental organizations. South Sudan could have been worse than today without the life-saving support and peace efforts by these partners. SPLM, SPLA-IO plan for peace and stability in South Sudan. South Sudan is teetering towards complete disintegration. The objective condition of our civil population continues to grow from bad to worse. Since independence, since 2013, December, more than 500,000 lives have perished. Over 4 million population have been uprooted from their homes and are suffering. The little socio-economic infrastructure that was in existence have been wiped out. The regime of President Salva Kiir Mayardit have destroyed the society, the polity, and the economy. South Sudan has lost its sovereignty, territorial integrity, national cohesion. Salva Kiir has proven more than once that he cannot promote peace, he cannot promote reconciliation and healing. He is the catalyst and root causes of social, political, and economic collapse of the country. South Sudan continues to illegally contract debt and loans, and yet more than US$ 50 billion has been wasted in corruption, theft, and plunder. This money has been shared among President Salva Kiir, his family, close relatives, and the ruling elite. The wastage of US$ over 50 billion without spending on economic development, infrastructural development, schools, hospitals, and social services provision is a missed lifetime opportunity for South Sudan. Our ASIS, which was the only hope for the people of South Sudan, has been dismantled through systematic violations and abrogation. President Salva Kiir has rewind the clock by refusing to address the root causes of the conflict, by refusing to restructure the state and rejecting federal system of government, which is the popular demand of the people of South Sudan. Salva Kiir is succeeding to institute a government by oligarchy, as over 4 million people are already displaced, and majority of the 64 nationalities do not agree with the prevailing political system. He is using violence to retain power and plunder the country. The plan for sham elections while silencing opposition and denying political and civic space is the only option left to rig elections. He is fully aware that he cannot win any free and fair elections in South Sudan. In light of the foregoing political decay, the SPLM-SPLA unequivocally shall maintain the following: demand for immediate release of Dr. Riek Machar Tenjurgon, the first Vice President, in order to restore back the RRCs and return to full implementation of the agreement in letter and spirit for a democratic end of the transitional period. In lieu of the restoration of the RRCs, President Salva Kiir has lost legitimacy. SPLM-SPLA-IO shall scale up mobilization for resistance to uproot the dictatorship of President Salva Kiir from South Sudan, restore sovereignty back to the masses of our people in order to conduct free, fair, and credible elections and democratic system of governance in the Republic of South Sudan. SPLM-SPLA-IO shall use all means available to hold Salva Kiir and the ruling elite accountable for the plunder and loss of public resources, hold accountable those who instigated political violence and loss of lives and property, human rights violations, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. We would like to declare unequivocally that the year 2026 is the year of political victory, attainment of peace, justice, and freedom for our people. We shall traverse the territory of South Sudan from east to west, north to south, from periphery to the capital. And our victory is certain. In conclusion, I would like to sincerely register our heartfelt disappointment for the unfortunate prevailing social, political, and economic challenges imposed on the country by the regime. We are aware that our citizens, our members and supporters, and the general public are going through hell in South Sudan. The regime of Salva Kiir is using violence, deprivation, and poverty as means to subjugate the masses to the status quo. We have chosen to uphold the aspiration of the founding fathers of our country, the dignity of our martyrs, and that of the heroes and heroines whose blood and sweat have cemented our national unity and foundation. We have decided to continue to resist the oppressive status quo that continue to kill and plunder our country instead of surrendering and joining them. We call upon IGAD countries, African Union, the C5, United Nations, the members of international community, and press to prevail on the regime and continue standing with the people of South Sudan and make the year 2026 a year of peace, justice, tranquility, and prosperity for all the people of South Sudan. Viva SPLM, SPLA-IO, viva! Viva Dr. Riek Machar Durgon, viva! Viva South Sudan, viva! Long live South Sudan, a luta continua. Thank you so much.